You're in the end dimension with nothing but an axe, bow, and one arrow. To make things worse, you're on half a heart and there's no food in sight. Surely there's no way to get out of this situation without dying. But luckily, you have an ace up your sleeve. You know that there's one strategy that, with some recent advancements in speedrunning tech, will work every single time. Quick disclaimer, I am not going into any technical details on how this strategy actually functions behind the scenes, but I do think everyone should at least understand the history of one-shot and how it works if they want to be as consistent as possible. Rox has an incredible video on the original damageful one-shot that goes into specifics and is still a great watch, so after this, you can find that one at the top of the description. I also have Camo here to talk about how to use Damageless to change your decision making in MCSR ranked, so if you're already consistent, skip to this timestamp instead. Also, the setup shown in this video won't work as well without MCSR Rank's one-shot lag fix mod. So if you want to do Damageless in something like RSG, then click on the RSG insta-launch timestamp at the end of Turtle's video once you have it down. I've taught Damageless one-shot from coal players to netherite, and they all tend to get it down in about 15 minutes, so I'm going to explain it the same way I do with them. First, watch me do it, and once you get the general idea, it'll be a lot easier to follow along with the actual tutorial. While waiting at the same place I would for a one cycle, I turn on my crosshair overlay and offhand my bow. First, I run to the same side that the dragon's head is turning to. I hit it 5 full times with an axe or 8 full times with a sword. Next, I pillar up 2 blocks and jump to the top of the fountain. I look straight forward and down, go into third person mode, and lift my mouse off the desk, as any mouse movement could result in 0 damage. I then do one more full hit with whatever weapon I'm using. Next is the lineup. I'll explain where to aim later, but for now, just know that I'm aiming for a specific hitbox by holding crouch and drawing back the bow, causing me to move slow enough to get the crosshair overlay onto the right spot. What's cool about this lineup though is that it's not actually that precise, which is a part of what makes Damageless one-shot so fast and reliable now. Once I've got the lineup, I simultaneously jump, hit the dragon, and release a weak arrow at the apex of my jump. I repeat this step until the dragon just dies. The momentum stored in the player sends the arrow flying into the dragon, and because arrow damage scales with speed, it does enough damage that you only need one shot. Alright, now it's your turn. The first thing you're going to do is download the crosshair PNG in the description and keep the file somewhere where you won't delete it. Under the Advanced tab and tool screen, click on Overlays and then Images, where you can add a new image, browse, and select your crosshair file. Go into Hotkeys and add a hotkey to toggle image overlays. This can be any key on your keyboard. You'll have plenty of time to toggle it on or off. Finally, you can change the scale of your crosshair to your liking. After that, make sure that you have one-shot lag fix set to on in rank settings under performance. Next, you'll want to enter the meshed 0 cycle practice map. If it doesn't have the sign that says start 1 cycle, then download the updated version in the description of this video. All you technically need to do one-shot in a run is a normal bow, 1 arrow, and a way to get on top of the fountain. But I like to teach people to set up a practice loadout with each of these items so that you can test different weapons. I also use nether brick here, but any block will do. Pause the video now and create a similar loadout with the items in whatever slots you prefer. Now, open the chest on the right and click on the bedrock. If there's any obsidian already set up, remove it, fly up, right-click the structure block, and hit the capitalized save button on the bottom right. Then, right-click while holding the egg. Before anything else, it's good to practice the final shot that kills the dragon. Click on the sign that says Start 0 Cycle, offhand your bow, hold a weapon, and crouch over this back corner. From here, release crouch. To practice the final shot, you'll want to lift your mouse off of the desk and hit space, left-click, and right-click simultaneously, letting go of right-click at the apex of your jump. If you prefer DPI toggling, you don't have to lift your mouse here. Anyways, if your arrow isn't firing, you need to hold down right-click longer. It's better to shoot the arrow slightly late than to not shoot it at all, but if the arrow isn't weak enough, then it might not do enough damage. Pause the video here and practice the final shot until you're shooting a weak arrow every single time. Once you have the timing down, throw your pickaxe and click Start 1 Cycle. The dragon will choose a side to turn its head to, and you'll want to get in the fountain on that same side. There's a rare chance that the dragon will turn the wrong way to no fault of your own, and although that's still hittable, for now, if that happens, just throw your pickaxe and try again. Make sure your crosshair overlay is up, offhand your bow, and do 5 full hits on the dragon's head with your axe. Remember that with either of these swords, it's 8 hits. Anyways, immediately after you've hit the dragon enough, get up on the bedrock opposite of the side that the dragon flew in from and pillar up 2 blocks. Sometimes the dragon stops you from placing the second block, and in that case, you can back up a little bit and place it like this. From here, get up onto the platform as soon as possible to avoid the dragon turning its head and launching you. Once you're inside the dragon, look straight forward and down, go into third person, lift up your mouse or toggle DPI, and try not to stand too far from the center. Remember, the dragon likes to turn its head towards you, so to avoid it flipping, you want to get to the center quickly. To know where the center of the dragon is, you can find this L shape that encases 2 lighter gray pixels. The center is where these 4 pixels touch. Keep this spot in mind as you'll use it as reference in a second. If the dragon does flip and you can no longer reach the center, or it's flipped to become a 45-degree or Z-facing dragon, throw your pickaxe and try again. I'll explain those lineups later. With your weapon fully charged, hit the dragon once. Now is where you determine where to line up your final shot. It depends on where the dragon is facing, but I like to explain it like this. Think of the dragon's tail as a long arrow that points away from the dragon. If this tail arrow is pointing down and right, go down half a pixel and right a quarter pixel from the center of the dragon. If it's up and right, go up half a pixel and right a quarter pixel. It's the same for the other side as well. Tail arrow is down and left, you go down half and left a quarter. Tail arrow is up and left, you go up half and left a quarter. The dragon can also be completely horizontal, and in this situation, you can choose up or down for your first adjustment. All of this is how you determine where to line up your crosshair overlay. Here's a quick check to make sure you understand. Where should you line up your crosshair? If you said up half a pixel and right a quarter pixel, then you're right. Okay, one more. Where is the lineup? For this one, you can choose down half and left a quarter, or up half and left a quarter, because the dragon is completely horizontal. Now draw back your bow, hold shift, and use your movement keys to line up your crosshair in the right spot. You can also go into FOV 30 here if you have a tough time seeing where you're aiming, but remember that the lineup isn't really that precise. Okay, once you've reached the correct lineup, release right click. The dragon will delete this arrow, so if you only have one, you shouldn't offhand your bow until after this lineup. Instead, you can switch to a different hotbar slot, canceling the shot and saving your one arrow. Either way, the next step is to perform the final shot that you practiced earlier. With your mouse lifted off the desk, or with your DPI toggled low, hit space, left click, and right click at the same time, releasing a weak arrow at the peak of your jump. Repeat this step until the dragon dies. It might take one final shot, but it could take more, so don't give up if nothing happens. If you did it right, the dragon should die. Make sure you don't take any fall damage within the next 3 seconds to avoid getting sent to outer space. Now, if you did something wrong, the dragon will not die and you'll get launched into the air. Make sure not to use a pearl to clutch here. Your momentum will send it flying as well. You're going to have to use a boat or a bucket. If you can't reach your lineup, then crouch over a corner of the bedrock and wait for the dragon to turn its head towards you. If you keep failing and don't know what you're doing wrong, there are a few things that seem to be the issue for most people. The first thing you should check is that your mouse is either lifted off the desk or the DPI is toggled to be extremely low. I can't stress enough that any minuscule movement while performing the final shot can cause the arrow to do 0 damage. If that's not the problem, then it's most likely your arrow timing. Practice your final shot a bit more to make sure you're shooting your arrow every time at the apex of your jump. Not shooting the arrow or shooting it too late while hitting the dragon will result in failure. Pause the video here and practice the full Damageless Oneshot sequence until you can kill the dragon most of the time, and make sure to throw your pickaxe to reset if you encounter a 45-degree or Z-facing dragon for now. Now it's time to learn the less likely scenarios. Again, there are only 2 of these, but you have to know them if you're going to want to be able to one-shot consistently. First off is a 45-degree facing dragon, which happens fairly often. In this case, you can think about the lineup in the exact same way, but instead of a quarter pixel, your second adjustment will be half a pixel. So, instead of going up half a pixel and right a quarter pixel like this dragon, you'd still go up half a pixel, but right half a pixel as well, because the dragon is at a 45-degree angle. Finally, in a much less likely situation, the dragon will not be facing X or 45 degrees, and instead it'll be perched along the Z-axis like this. In this case, you're going to aim towards the head hitbox, which is half a pixel towards the head of the dragon, not the tail. You also don't adjust anything else, just half a pixel towards the head. If you want to force this rare scenario to practice, the best way I've found is to add a blast-resistant block to your loadout, stand on the positive or negative Z side of the fountain, place a block here so that you can guarantee being able to reach the lineup, and let the dragon turn its head towards you. You can then pull her up on either X side of the fountain and aim for the head hitbox, half a pixel towards the front of the dragon. The zero practice map works well enough when it comes to learning Damageless Oneshot, but just as you'd use Nox's mini practice kit to get real endgame scenarios for zero cycling, I recommend using it for Damageless as well. I did 100 MPK one-shots in a row, and I can tell you that it's super helpful for getting used to weird terrain and realistic perch situations. Just know that you'll either have to wait 1 minute for the dragon to lose its desync, or download Carpet Mod and one-shot lag fix in a non-ranked instance to use Tick Warp.
Hey guys, Camo here. Bastions do not guarantee explosives. In fact, string and glowstone are less common in ranked than they are in vanilla. Often, this means you'll need to trade backup gold, which is a huge time investment which may or may not pay off. You might have missed a trade, or your opponent got explosives in some other way, but with one shot you can always simply leave. If you aren't confident in zero cycling, this can easily save 30 seconds in many situations, which can just win you the game on the spot. The completion of your run not being tied to your explosive count also gives you much more freedom in using them elsewhere. On low explosive seeds, you might need to omit blaze bedding or hunger resetting with an anchor, which would otherwise save time. When those aren't necessary to kill the dragon, they can be used however you may need.
That's going to be it for this video. I hope you were able to get something out of it, and maybe you can start implementing Damageless into your games a bit more. Good luck one-shotting. Don't get nervous.